Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Welcome to Build My Brand. I'm Dale Beaumont, and in a few moments' time, I'll introduce you to Debbie O'Connor. She is our resident branding expert, and we've been producing a whole series around how to build a great brand for your business. Now, we're almost at the end of the series now, and we've decided to throw this one in because we've had hundreds of questions come in from business owners all across the country and all around the world that have their own questions. And so we've come up with a list, and the list is 21 of your top branding questions answered, and we're going to do our best to go through them as quick as we possibly can and deliver some great answers back to you. All right, Debbie, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thanks, Dale.
All right, so let's get into this. This is going to be fun. Now, what we've done is we've broken it up into 4 different categories, and the first category we're going to look at is people that are starting their business, and so we've got a bunch of questions in this area, so let's get into them right now. So the first one is, when should I think about branding if I'm starting a business? At what point do I think about branding?
Okay, so when you are setting up a business, there's a lot that you have to do. You have to make sure that you can get the business name that you want, that you've got your whole business plan. If you're needing any kind of funding, that you've got all of that in place. Now, the time that you come to the branding side of things is when you have your whole business plan already set up, you know exactly what you're going to be doing, and you now need to start building a brand. You need to start looking at understanding your brand personality, crafting a bit of a story, getting your logo, colors, fonts, that type of thing together. So it is at the early stages of the business. It's pre-launch. So before you go and launch anything, you do want to have a brand in mind and a brand strategy set in place.
Okay, but you want to make sure that the name is something you can actually secure. You want to get the domain name as well. If you are in a market where it requires a trademark, you might want to think about that as well.
Yeah, look, you don't want to go down the track of developing a brand if you haven't secured all of that first. So those are the first stages you do. You need to make sure that you have all of that set up and it is all legal and above board. And then from there, you can then start developing your whole brand strategy and the look and feel.
All right, the next question is, how much should I spend on branding if I'm a startup business? Is there kind of a number or a guide? I know it's difficult because it depends on what you actually want, but people have asked this question, so let's give them an answer.
Look, there's no magic number, but the reality is with anything that you are starting from fresh, there does need to be an investment. Now, I like to do a little bit of an analogy with purchasing a car compared to getting your brand set up. So if you go and buy a car, you're going to spend what, $20, $30, $50, $80,000 on a vehicle that from the moment you purchase it, it's going to cost you money, which means that by the time you drive it off the lot, car, rego, you've got your insurances, you've got your petrol, you've got your wear and tear, your mechanics, all of these are tied up in your car. It costs you money every single day, yet you're prepared to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a car. Now, if you put that money towards your brand, something that is going to make you money every single day, you can see the difference that it would have in your business and the brand. Now, I'm not saying go out and spend $50,000 on setting up your brand, but what I'm saying is that you need to have the right mindset as to getting your foundations correct. Because if you scrimp and save while setting up the start of your branding, it does mean that down the track, further down, you are going to pay for it in the long run.
Because it will cost money to redo everything and to throw out old materials and print new ones and those type of things. So you don't have to spend a fortune, but you need to make sure you try to get it as close to being right as possible.
Yes, you do. And honestly, go to someone who is a professional, go to someone who knows what they're doing, because they will get it all set up correctly for you from the beginning. So if you're investing $5,000 or $10,000, it all depends on what you're getting done. You know, if you're getting a logo and business cards and a website, which is a great startup way of getting there, you're going to be spending a lot less money than if you're wanting to then advertise in magazines and newspapers and on billboards. So you really do need to factor that in to your startup budget.
All right, let's go to the next question. Question number 3. Can I do it all myself, or do I need to hire a professional?
Yeah, so this does go back to the previous question. I would highly recommend that you hire a professional, only because they know what they're doing and they're going to get it right. I've recently had a situation where we had a client. They said they wanted an absolute shoestring budget website. They said they wanted us to find the cheapest template that they could possibly have and build the website from that, which we have done. However, 2 years down the track, they're now wanting us to do really complex things on their website, but the code won't allow us. The code of this original template is so basic, it won't allow us to do what we want to do. So now they need to then go and redesign the entire website to allow them to do all the features that they want to do.
Okay, now let's go to the next question, and that is, can I just use websites like 99 Designs or Fiverr or Freelancer or Upwork or the many different sort of crowdsourcing websites out there? Can I just use these and just kind of do it nice and cheap?
Look, you can. The challenge that you then face is that you are dealing with people who don't know you, they don't know your business, they might not even be in your country, so they have no idea about your target audience. So it means that your brand is not being crafted for you. Often a lot of these places, what they'll do is they'll look at the brief, and they'll take a design that they've done for somebody else, and they'll just change the name and maybe a couple of colors, and then shoot that through to you. So you have to be a little bit wary and a little bit careful about using companies like that. Also, you need to find out what files you'll end up having. As a designer, we have had many clients come to us where it's 2 years down the track, they've used Fiverr or 99 Designs, and they actually don't have the right files for any of us to use. So we've had to redesign everything for them anyway, which has cost them money in the long run. So be very careful about who you're using with these online platforms, because it might be cheap, but cheap doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be any good.
All right, let's go to the next one, because I think this is really important as well. What's the difference between a graphic designer and a branding expert? Because on some of those other websites, yes, you're getting a graphic designer that could be located in another part of the world, but they're really not a branding expert. They're completely different things, right? Now,
Yeah.
You kind of sit across both, but help us to understand. Can your graphic designer do all this stuff or not?
All right, so a graphic designer, I like to say that there are do-it designers and thinking designers. So your do-it designers, these people have been trained to simply do what they're asked to do. So if you bring in your little napkin with your drawing on it, they will redraw it for you. You ask them for red, they'll give you red. And they won't question anything. They will do exactly as you ask, and you will get exactly what you want. However, if you go to a thinking designer, which is then more on your branding expert side, these are people that will say, well, actually, you're a doctor. Red is not a good color to represent your brand because it's blood. It represents blood. So we would suggest don't use the color red. Perhaps you should use the color light blue because it gives more of a clean, sterile kind of feel for your brand, which might be more relevant. So when you talk to a thinking designer or branding expert, they will actually come up with suggestions, questions, and give you ideas as to where you could be going, and really tap into where you want your brand to be, not now, not in a year's time, but in 5, 10, 20 years' time. And that's what you need to then put your strategy towards.
Okay, let's go to the next one. What are the minimum branding requirements for a startup business? What do I actually need, and maybe what don't I need at the beginning?
Yeah, look, that's a good question. I think as an absolute minimum, you need to have your logo. You need to have a website, because if you're not found on Google, you pretty much don't exist. And then you need to have business cards as well. So I think if you've got those three, that's a really good start for a brand. I have a lot of businesses, but people come to me and they say, oh, I need letterhead and I need with compliment slips. And I go, whoa, hang on. We're not working in 1980 anymore. You don't need that. What you do need is to have a really good website, business cards that are going to appeal to your customers, and a good logo as a fantastic foundation.
So they're the requirements. So if you are on a shoestring budget, as many people are, they're really the essentials.
Those are your essentials, and you can pretty much run your business for a good year or so with just that.
Okay, great. Let's look at question number 7. How do I create awareness for my brand? Again, on a shoestring budget.
Yeah, look, the shoestring budget is always the trick, right? And as a startup, this is where it's very, very challenging. So to create awareness, one of the easiest platforms to go to are your social media platforms. Now, in our previous episode, one of our previous episodes, we have spoken entirely about social media, and it is about finding the platform or platforms that are right for you and your brand. So knowing where your target audience is critical, and then being able to use and leverage off those platforms. Now, if that's not the space that you want to play in, there are other ways to go about it. So you might have a particular product that if you stock it in a particular store, they might give you a bit of leverage through their social media, or marketing your product through their space. If you're service-based, you might want to align with another service operator that does something similar to you, and you can cross-reference each other to help promote your brands. Maybe put on educational events together, that type of thing, that allows you to do some more interesting, creative, collaborative ways of promoting your business without having to spend big dollars.
All right, great. We're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to talk to established business owners. We've, again, surveyed a whole bunch of people and come up with their biggest questions. So we'll take a short break. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Build My Brand. In this episode, we're going through your biggest burning questions around how to successfully build a great brand for your business. And these next questions specifically relate to people that already have an established business and want to take their brand to the next level. So let's get into some of those questions right now. The first question is, what are the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to their branding?
Right, that's a good question. One of the biggest mistakes that I've seen is people not actually investing in their brand properly from the beginning. So that means that they...
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.